Welcome to High Heels and Hay Bales, where polished meets practical, legal meets lifestyle, and debt meets dirt.
I am Kristen, your resident farm mama, keeping it real about motherhood, homesteading, and laughing our way through the chaos.
And I'm Adrienne, aka the Ladylike Lawyer. I'm here to help you make sense of money, debt, legal life, without the boring fight print.
So kick off your shoes or boots or heels and let's get into it.
Welcome back to High Heels and Hay Bales. We are back for another episode, and this time it's a fun one. I'm excited.
I'm pretty excited too. So I gotta say, Kristen, be completely honest. What is the very first thing you would do if you won a Powerball?
Okay, so after I pay my house off, because that doesn't count, I would buy the nicest tractor I could find. Like I would have all the attachments, and I would make sure it had the warranty, and it would start every time, and I could do all the things I need to do. And then I'd probably pay somebody to do it for me.
Hey, I agree. See, I think that's adorable. You and your little tractor stuff. See, I would totally disappear for a period of time. I would definitely be traveling. I would just be hopping on airplanes and going from plane to plane. But then, I'd be buying a bunch of shoes that I can't even pronounce the names of, and I definitely think like I'm getting like an espresso machine, and it's going to be one of those fancy ones. Like those are the first things I'm doing.
Of course you would, because that makes sense. You would have heels for every day of the week, along with an espresso machine for every day of the week.
I would need shoes for like every like a like a breakfast pair of shoes and a lunch pair of shoes. And sometimes I'd be wearing heels in the middle of the day, sometimes I'd be wearing so we're going to need 21 pairs of shoes for every week if
Right.
I won the Powerball. I mean, I think that's definitely in my thing. I mean, I did take 11 pairs of shoes to Portland, Oregon for a 3-day convention. So yeah, it pretty much tracks.
That
Yeah.
tracks. I
So
have a whole list. I think a lot of people have a whole huge list of what they would do with the lottery. I would have classic cars out the yin yang. I mean, I already looked this morning and saw a few I wanted. Um, but there's some downfalls to winning the lottery.
Well, you'd be really surprised. I mean, statistically speaking, people who win the lottery, they actually tend to end up broke. Statistically, more people end up broke who win the lottery or have money come into their life than people who are able to manage it. And a ton of them actually file for bankruptcy.
Right. Obviously, you would think that winning millions upon millions of dollars would change everything or solve all of your problems. And I'm learning that it just gives you bigger and fancier problems. And if you don't have a plan in place, it will make your current problems even worse. I mean,
Mhm.
I, I, I I've thought a million times about winning the lottery, but I never thought past what I would buy. And
Right.
I don't think I had a plan in place. Not that I've won the lottery or anything, but I don't think anybody that does win the lottery has a plan in place.
My husband and I have a plan in place.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I
Because
have to
Scott is the ultimate planner.
He is the ultimate planner, but I have to tell you that the very first road trip my husband and I ever took, we were just starting to date, and we were driving down to Florida to visit his mother. I was going to meet his mother for the first time. And back in when we started dating, at that time, there were different lotteries in different states. Like some states, were involved in this lottery and some states in that lottery. And so because we were going to be in Florida, we had the opportunity to buy some lottery tickets, and it was a particularly big, jackpot at that time. And I will never forget that my husband and I spent hours and hours in the car talking about what we would do if we won the lottery. And I have to tell you, Kristen, it is one of the reasons why I fell in love with him. It is one of the reasons why I married him. And those principles that I saw in him in that road trip talking about the lottery are the principles that I still see in him today. My husband said right off the bat, if I win the lottery, we are we're putting it in a trust. We're doing this, we're doing that. And he had thought about exactly what would happen. And I realized in that moment I had never really thought about exactly what would happen. And I saw how disciplined he was. And of course, I fell in love with him because I'm not disciplined and I knew I needed some of that in my life. But I don't think most people realize when they win the lottery that there are going to be some very big decisions to make. And money doesn't make things necessarily easier. They can make things a lot more complicated. But I think everybody plays this game. We all play this game to some extent. What are we going to do? What are we going to make happen here? But I don't think a lot of people think beyond what am I going to buy, right?
Mhm.
Think beyond what am I going to buy. Oof. The problem is when you actually win the lottery, you don't realize what else is coming for you, right?
Right. Right. Like, it's all fun and games to play that math thing in your head, but, like, one of the things we used to do was say, "Okay, so we'll have, after taxes, $250 million, and
Well, you're
we
ahead of the
can."
game just because you're you're anticipating the taxes. I will say
Listen,
that.
I know how the world works, okay? But, I'm gonna pay off grandma's house. I'm gonna pay off mom's house. I'm gonna pay off Aunt Mary's house. I'm gonna give this brother this much money and this brother this much money, but not that brother because he's irresponsible. And helping everybody else after you've helped yourself. But then all of your best friends start
Mm,
asking. And then
mhm.
the fake people flock to you. You're not ready for that. You're not trained in how to handle all of that. And then you have all of these feel like you have all of these obligations to all these people and you don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's easy to imagine winning the lottery and to say, "Ooh, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to do these things." But one of the realities here is, you know, are you trained in bond markets?
I don't even
Like,
know what
do
that is.
you know what capital gains are and how they're gonna apply to you? I mean, if you win $300 million in lottery and you wanna share it with your family, you have to pay taxes on it first and then give it to them. So you're already behind the 8 ball. And, if you've never had money before, you've never had to invest it, so you don't have trusted people in your life, right? You're gonna
Mhm.
turn to anybody. It's very complicated because there's a lot of traps with money. There's a lot of things that cost you money can cost you money, right? Buying a
Mm.
boat isn't just buying a boat. You have to you have to clean it, you have to insure it, you have to dock it, you have to dry dock it, you have to repair it, you have to monitor, these things people don't understand. And so they'll take on an expense and then not realize the depth to which that expense is really going to come down on them. I
Right.
saw a study once that said about 70% of big lottery winners all lose it within 5 years. That's like less than a car loan, Kristen.
That's insane. Like,
5 years.
5 years. I don't know anything that I've lasted 5 years with. Okay, wait. I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say my marriage
I
was
was gonna say
almost
me.
19, but, you know yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Man, 5 years? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if the statistic of 70% for 5 years is more shocking to me. It feels weird to know that people that suddenly have more money than they can blow just go right through it like water.
Right? Like, I don't even know how I would spend that. Well, I take that
I
back.
do.
I
I
could. I
do.
mean, we should stop saying that because we do know how we could spend
Right.
it.
I mean, I've thought about how I could break it up into different accounts and have money for every year because what I really need to live on is X, Y, and Z and then a little fund for in case I overspend. But like, how do you even do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to rely on other people to help you do that. And so they have to be trusted people and you
Right.
have to know where to get them. And have to, like I said, if you don't have relationships with banks and lenders and investment people and money people, then you are really at risk for getting completely fleeced. It's
Right.
not just lottery winners. I mean, this happens to pop stars, pro athletes, reality TV folks,
Oh yeah.
anybody people who go get really famous on TikTok really fast, right? It's the overnight rich syndrome.
Mhm.
Like it's just like our friends Haley and Justin.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
you would think, wait,
Haley and
They
Justin Brown Woods own Price of Avocado Toast.
right.
That is their platform. So Haley and Justin Brown's Wood, they actually got a $600,000 lawsuit, a judgment.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
I don't remember. I don't know the basis behind it, but they got a $600,000 from a lawsuit, I believe. Within 3.5 years, they had blown through all of it, plus another $250,000. And so they spent $850,000 in 3.5 years. And so they took the 600 and they blew past it. Yeah. And they are who I oftentimes refer people to for budgeting and that
Right.
type of thing, because they figured out that they had made terrible, terrible, terrible errors of judgment. And they spent the next couple of years unwinding that and backing out of it and getting their debts paid down and increasing their credit score. And their entire business talks about it and explains how that happened to them and why it happened and how they are now helping other people to budget and live within a budget to understand money better. But
Right.
they blew through it. And they're smart, nice, kind, loving, amazing, open people. And if it could happen to them, it can really happen to anybody.
I think, I mean, $600,000 would change anybody's life. I think if, you said, here, Kristen, here's $600,000, I'd be meticulous. I'd be so super careful with it because,
Say you would be, but if you got 600,000, Kristen, I would be standing over your shoulder like, what do you do? What's happening? Let's sit down. Let's talk about this. Let's do this. And I would have theories and I would have things for you to do that you wouldn't think about. And
right,
you'd probably have things that I wouldn't think about,
right,
right?
right,
Because we think that getting $600,000, we all assume we would be responsible with it. We all assume that we would do everything right with it. But that's really the point of this. It's more often than not, there's a 70% chance that you're going to F it up, my friend.
right. Well, so like this is one of the disparities. I don't know if that's the right word. The differences between you and me,
Yeah.
$600,000 to you gives you options to do this sort of thing.
Hmm.
$600,000 to me pays off my house, pays off my car, pays off the debt that I've incurred because I'm a dumbass. Pays off that stuff. And then, yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, okay, I'm not $600,000 in debt, but then I'd be like, oh, I have $300,000 to play with and do all these things, but not think of the stuff that's going to come with it, like the taxes and the this and the that. So,
And
yeah.
things matter, right? A $600,000 money pennies from heaven. It may not be smart to pay off your house. And we have to look at the interest rates
Oh, yeah.
because interest rates are what matter. See, this is the point. We don't pay off cheap debt. For
Right.
example, if we could take $300,000, $400,000 and put it in, if we can invest it and make 6% on it,
Right.
okay? You're gonna make $6,000 for every $100,000 invested. Okay.
Okay.
So
Per
six
year,
times
right?
five is 30, right? Yeah. If you have $300,000 in there and we're making 6%, all right, off a 5 year, right? You're gonna make,
Right, right, right.
right. Okay. But if you pay off your house, let's say you pay $200,000 to pay off your house, but your house was at 4% or 3% interest.
I don't like this math.
You see what I'm saying? But this is the type of thing that makes it hard for people to understand. You are This is why I would be standing over your shoulder because paying off your house might not be the right thing to do. And
But see,
that's the natural thing that everybody thinks that we're supposed to do. Like most things in money, your natural inclination is usually not the right thing to do.
right. But okay, so take out in my current situation,
Yeah.
because I don't have a stable income and the divorce is happening and all that stuff. To me, yes, making money on that money makes sense. However, if I can pay off my house, this is where all the pitfalls happen. If I can pay off my house and not have that mortgage, I don't have to worry about having that much more money every month. But then have I then lost out on the money that I could be making? Like that's really what screws people up.
It's all math and numbers,
And
and
I
so
suck at those.
that's why trusted people, financial planners and money people are the people who sit down with people like my husband and I and go through these things. When you have investments like my husband and I have, we have to meet with our planner once a year under law. They have to meet with us. It
Ah,
help us understand what's going on. Oh yeah,
I
there's a
didn't
whole
know
lot
that.
that's going on over on this side of stuff.
Over on the bougie
And
side.
yeah, on the bougie side, we learn, right, to try and again, if it's a 600,000, if it's a 1 million, if it's a 2 million, these all change things. So we
Right.
look at how much things are costing, right? And but these are just bigger examples of why people kind of stumble into mistakes because the natural things we think to do, maybe we need to pull back and look at it from a different standpoint. That's all money is.
Absolutely.
It's just a different way of looking at things, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Did you know I actually represented a lottery winner once, kinda early in my
Really?
bankruptcy career. It was
Really?
somebody local, not too local, but in the general area, somebody I knew who had, won, just under $1,000,000 on a scratch off, fancy
Mhm.
scratch off in Ohio. And I think it was maybe 2 years when we filed bankruptcy for them.
That's
2 years
crazy.
later. Yeah. I didn't know I mean, like, I wasn't friends with them when they won it. I knew them from a business standpoint, and the reality is that, they didn't understand, much like Justin and Haley, they were just not equipped to understand. They bought a business. They didn't do their due diligence in buying the business. They didn't inspect it correctly enough. They didn't understand what they were buying. They didn't understand depreciation. They took on the workers' comp liabilities. They didn't understand those things. They didn't have the right lawyer look at the paperwork, and they were so excited to do what they were doing that they just pissed it all away, and it was gone. And the business is gone, the money is gone. They overshot the runway, and it ended up owing so much more money. And unlike Haley and Justin, they were not able to pull their train back on the track, and we had to file for bankruptcy for them.
That's really heartbreaking when you think about it because, they were changing their lives, thought they were doing the right thing, and, you know,
Yeah,
everything fell apart again. Like, I mean, it's impressive to go through that kind of money, but it really
yeah.
sucks too.
They paid off some stuff, they helped some family out, they did a couple of fun splurges, but then the money was gone, and the habits and the debt were still there. No taxes had been set aside, they didn't have a plan, they were liquidating this business that they had overpaid for pennies on the dollar, and they were not able to get materially any of it back.
So realistically, winning the lottery is like giving somebody a bucket with a hole with holes in it. And just doesn't matter what you put in, it's all just gonna come pouring out.
That's a really good analogy, Kristen, because if you think of yourself as the bucket and you recognize that you've got holes, if you're not so self-absorbed that you think that you can handle everything, then you are going to be smart enough to start plugging up the holes in your own bucket first, right? And
Right.
understand that the water's only going to go where you tell it to go. Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy. Yeah, I love that analogy
It's
because
a
we
good
have
analogy for life too.
it is, but it's the same with pro athletes. It's this I mean, these kids coming out of college and getting like, $300 million contract, and they're even, we're talking about people who, like my foster child who played football. That was his key to getting into college. That was his everything. And if he had ever come into money like that, he would have been a mess because he would not have been prepared for it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So common, so common, so
That's
common.
crazy.
Do you know of any famous lottery winners?
I
Have you
you
heard of
know,
any?
there used to be a TV show, I think on TLC, where they used to, like, follow lottery winners.
Yes.
I don't remember a whole bunch about those people, but I know you were talking about Jack Whittaker, and
Mhm.
it took me a second until you told me a little bit of the details. I do remember there was, like, a documentary on him,
Mm.
and I'd forgotten all about him, but that's a crazy story.
Remember that documentary too now.
Yeah.
I remember the document because in my mind, when I was prepping for this, in my mind, I'm seeing pictures of him walking through a house
Yes!
and stuff, and I'm like,
Yes!
did I see a documentary on this? Yeah.
Yes, because he won
Jack
over
Whittaker,
$300 million, right?
$315 million.
I could do some damage with that.
Me too, girl. Me too. I tell you what, it would not all be gone in 5 years. That's for damn sure. It would not all be gone. Mm-mm. Yeah, he won over $300 million in West Virginia. It was one of those, multi-state lotteries, I'm sure. Yeah, in a few years it was all gone. So some of the most notable things that I found absolutely haunting, fascinating and haunting about Jack Whittaker is right when he won the lottery, he told everybody, like, he's like, the lottery's not going to change me. It's not going to change who I am. But that very first week, apparently he walked into a strip bar and laid down $50,000 in cash. Okay, so this is the first week, and this, my friends, is an example of, a foreshadowing. If you take $50,000 to the strip bar the week you win the lottery, do not tell anybody that you are responsible because that is not what is happening here.
Mm-mm.
You are
Mm-mm.
on a fast trajectory towards being dominated by this money. So 50,000 at the strip bar. What does $50,000 get you at a strip bar in West Virginia? That's my question.
So, I've seen some of the strip bars in West Virginia, a lot, a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, you're gonna own that strip bar.
You're gonna
You're gonna
you're
own
gonna
that
have
strip bar.
so many
That is
women.
yours. That's Jack's strip bar now. Well, he couldn't keep his mouth shut either. So apparently everywhere he went, he would run his mouth about how much money he had. And so this is rule number 2. Don't go to a strip bar and drop 50 grand, and don't run your mouth at a bar. Because apparently at one point in time, he had over $300,000 in cash in his car, locked in his car in the parking lot of the bar he's at. I don't know if it's the same strip bar, or if it's a different bar, but I guess the bartenders slipped a Mickey in his drink, and they went out and stole the money. He'd be yapping about it.
You
And I think
know,
that
I probably would have done the same thing.
I listen, I mean, you gotta be prepared. I mean, I would, I don't
It's
I would have stood by and watched you do it. Maybe. I would have waited longer than necessary to call 911. I mean, I got some obligations to some level, but yeah, man, like, what are you doing? And apparently this happened to him. His money was stolen out of his car 3 times, twice in the same parking lot. Now, these things are hilarious. He's been drugged. His house burned down. I don't know if somebody burned it down because they were so mad at him or whatever. But then it actually kind of turns a little bit dark too.
yeah.
Apparently, Jack Whittaker had a granddaughter whom he adored, right? And what are you going to do with a granddaughter that you adore when you win the lottery? You're going to give her a bunch of money that she probably can't handle. So this kid was 17 years old, and I guess her grandfather gave her 4 cars. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars. One's not enough for a 17-year-old. You need 4.
Right.
But he was also giving her $2,000 a month for spending money.
Thought it was a week.
I'm sorry, it was a week. It was
Yeah.
$2,000. Did I say a month? I meant a
Yeah.
week. Thank you for that. Because it was like
I'm
8 to 9 grand a month
I could
for a
live off that.
17-year-old.
Yeah, I would
17-year.
have been
What does a
stupid.
17-year-old do? She's got 4 cars. What does a 17-year-old do with $2,000 a week?
Flash it around. Show
Mhm.
it off.
Mhm. and probably going to slip into the drug culture at that point in
Mhm.
time. Fair?
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, his granddaughter did slip into the drug culture. Her granddaughter's friend or an acquaintance died in the home from a drug overdose. And as if that was not bad enough, apparently the granddaughter was murdered and wrapped in a plastic thing and dumped behind a trash can somewhere, all because she had been involved in this drug culture. Would that have happened if he hadn't been giving her the money? No,
Probably not.
because
Not as
this
fast.
definitely wouldn't have happened this fast. That's true.
That was a
So,
little morbid.
right? I mean, I know that it's more okay. Well, let's talk about something a little less morbid. How about we talk about Evelyn Adams? Have you
Okay,
heard
I
of
don't know who
Evelyn
this is.
Adams?
No, I don't know
Uh,
who that is.
oh, yeah. Evelyn Adams is famous for having won the lottery twice. Twice. She won the lottery twice. The first one was 3.9 million. The second one was 4 months later. She won 1.4 million.
What?
Oh, yes. So total of over $5 million she won, and within it did not take long. I don't know how many years it took her, but she lost it all as well. She was very famously quoted as saying, "I won the American dream and then I lost it all."
I do remember that now.
2 lotteries.
Listen, if I win twice, I'm buying a pig palace and filling it with my favorite pigs. And the rest of it, I'm not going to tell anybody. It's probably going to go in my mattress or the extra coffee cans because I'm going to be drinking a lot of coffee.
Is that your financial plan?
Hmm. At
Okay.
this point, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want anybody else to know where my money is, except
I
now the world does.
Well, you got your pro athletes like Allen Iverson, Antoine Walker, both multi-million dollar contracts, both bankrupt after retirement. It's everywhere.
There's MC Hammer had
Oh
a
yeah,
house.
pop parachute pants. MC Hammer filed
Yeah.
bankruptcy.
Yeah, yep, and he had like 17 bodyguards and his house was shaped like pants or something. And Wesley Snipes,
Yeah.
he was loaded and, biggest what is action star for many, many, many moons,
Mm,
and then goes to prison for tax evasion
mm.
on all of his money, and now he's broke as a joke. I think he filed bankruptcy.
Oh yeah, of course he did. Um, Mike Tyson filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah, well, Mike
Cyndi
Tyson.
Lauper filed for bankruptcy.
What? Well, she's kind of a different story though, because she's still on top of the world.
I'm pretty sure Billy Joel had to file for bankruptcy because his manager stole everything from him. His manager did steal everything from him. I'm not sure if he filed bankruptcy or not, but he ended up with nothing at one point in time.
What about Gary Coleman?
Gary
Didn't he
Coleman?
file?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah.
because it's parents or something. Managers like the thing is money changes things, but it also doesn't change anything. It doesn't fix everything because
Well,
it's
it
all a
doesn't
broken
it
system.
doesn't fix anything except for the fact that you feel like at least your house is paid off, right?
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, though, if you have an alcohol problem, if you are depressed, having money doesn't make you less depressed. And I think a lot
no.
of people think that. I think a lot of people think, well, I wouldn't be unhappy. I wouldn't be depressed. I wouldn't be anxious if I had money. And that is not the case. And
There's
and
a
I
reason there's a reason they say money doesn't buy happiness. It buys security of sorts.
it can buy security if you're doing it right, but it most certainly does not buy happiness. And money doesn't fix a broken system. It doesn't fix bad habits. It truly does amplify them.
Okay, so
Mm.
what actually happens? Where does all of this money go? Because this is millions of dollars just disappearing.
Yeah, usually it's a combination of things. Taxes is one of the things most people don't get, right?
Hmm.
And it's taxes, it's trying to help too many people, right? It's a lifestyle creep. You want a boat and a plane and a this and a big mansion. And now you realize that a big mansion has huge taxes and you need staff or people to take care of it. You need somebody doing the lawn. You need somebody cleaning. You need to keep it up in order to keep it valuable, right?
Right.
You realize that, you know, your friends and family members, now their lifestyles are reliant on you. You've now elevated. Now you have to. You didn't just increase your expenses a little by so much. You've increased your expenses that I'm sorry. You've increased your expenses for everyone else around you that you now
Hmm.
have to maintain. And not having a financial plan, not saying how much of this, like if you won $1 million and you know that you could get 6 or 7% from it, is it smarter to put the $1 million, to invest it, get $60,000 a year so that you
Right.
can pay that mortgage at the low percentage, right? These are the ways that this works, and people wanna spend the money, but the more money you spend, the less core investment you have, and so when you blow your core investment on things that reduce in value, you buy a brand new boat, it it devalues, right?
Right.
My husband and I had a boat, we bought it with my parents, and we paid $140,000 for the boat, okay?
Almost
Our
how much my
boat
house is.
was originally $900,000. The person who paid full price for it is an idiot, okay? But we bought it at 10 years old with barely any usage because rich people don't even use them very often. And
Hmm.
we were able to buy it for $140,000. That's so people who win the lottery go out and buy a brand new boat and
Hmm.
they lose value. They depreciate so quickly. So much of the stuff you buy depreciates. And that's
Right.
why understanding that you have to come in and you have to buy things that are increasing in value, things that are appreciating. And so you have to look at your money that way and understand kind of how that works. And most people don't get that.
Right.
They really don't. And that's normal because you haven't had we haven't had all had the experience to understand that.
Right. I think that's why, I mean, like I said before, as somebody who is lower income, when, and I hate to say it, the majority of the people that hedge their bets on lottery are usually the people that don't have a lot of money, that
Sure.
don't know what to do with it, and are just banking on a miracle. And then they, brand new car, brand new house, house too big, all the things they've ever wanted. And then they don't realize, like you said, I wouldn't go out and buy a brand new car. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because I know the moment you drive off the lot, you lose value immediately. I would buy a 69 Chevelle in mint condition because
Hashtag
those are only,
investment.
heck yeah. But I also would turn around and be like, but this needs paid off, this needs paid off. And I would not see, I know, just in this conversation, I know I would be like, I don't care what anybody says, I'm paying everything off, because then I don't have to worry about what's actually coming in. I can just take what's left and invest it,
And
maybe.
that's totally fair. But if you're winning the lottery, a couple of things are going to happen. Problem is that, like I said, it's the lifestyle creep, and you just
Right.
keep buying stuff, and then all of a sudden this is what's so fascinating about Real Housewives of all these franchises. And what I'm so fascinated about is how did they get from like you to me to
Hmm.
them, right? Like how did they go from somebody who some of these women were not born in money,
Hmm.
and they lived a life like are living. They lived maybe a life like I am living. But how do you get to the point where you are angry when you don't have somebody to carry your luggage in for you? Like, how do you get to that point? Because you start to have expectations. And that is a lot of what this is about, is
You're right.
keeping those expectations up, right?
Right.
I have to be at the nicest hotel. Once you fly first class, Kristen, I never fly first class. I've only flown first class a couple of times because it is so intoxicating. I don't want to be in first class all the time because I would pay for it and it's a waste of money. So
Right.
once you taste it though, you realize how great it is, you know?
Right.
And then you wanna fly first class all the time. Once you sit in a beautiful leather interior, Porsche, you want a Porsche, right?
Right.
And so as you start to get as these things come to you and it feels like you're entitled to them, that elevates your entire expense load exponentially, and that grows really fast. That
Right.
grows really fast. You
Right.
just yeah, it's the forever money delusion. It's the same psychology behind credit cards. You just spend like the balance is imaginary until the bill shows up.
That's a fact. That's why the people like these shows and why other people make so much money off like the lottery changed my life shows. You get to live the dream without the bankruptcy. You don't see what happens afterwards.
Yeah, it's the American dream with the time limit.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So here's the thing. I think most of us secretly love the lottery because it's like hope. Like when I buy a dollar scratch off, I know I'm not going to win more than like $10. When I buy that $30 scratch off, and I'm like, man, I really shouldn't do this. I could win $500,000 a year for life.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. And so that's why that becomes an addiction. But that dream, that hope is what people keeps people coming because, ooh, one day it's going to be my turn, right?
Well, I think we put so much, dreaming and manifestation, and we go through our lives every day imagining what would happen if we did win the lottery, imagining what would happen if somebody just, if somebody showed up on our door saying you've just inherited, $5 million from an aunt you've never heard of.
Hmm.
We all fantasize about that. But I think that's why it hits so hard when the dream actually turns into a mess for a lot of people. And I think it really proves that money was never the cure. It was always the mindset. It's our mindset. And it sounds so cheesy. And everyone's
It's a
like, oh, fuck that. I'll take the money. I'll
right.
figure it out.
It's a silly little twist, a little deep twist, putting the psychology into it, but
Yeah.
it's real. I mean, it's money isn't the cure because you're gonna end up so screwed.
Look at us
But
getting
I'd
all,
still take the money.
we're so philosophical. Of course you would. Who needs therapy when you got a podcast, right?
Well, me.
Me too. Well, I tell my clients all the time, you don't need millions of dollars to change your life. You need a plan for the money you do have, because otherwise, even when a windfall comes, it will slip right through your hands. That being said, I'm not being I don't want to sound like I'm so privileged that, oh, you don't need to win the lottery. You could just take care of life yourself. Listen, a lottery would be amazing for a lot of people. And if you won the lottery, I don't care what you say. I'm sitting next to you. I'm chaining you to me. And I'm going to make sure that you know the consequence of every decision you're making. And we have a plan so that there are funds available. And one of the things that we would do for the record, this is what you do if you win the lottery. You shut your mouth.
Yep.
You shut it.
Don't tell a damn soul.
And listen, I say that, but even I would go running around telling people because I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut. But I would need my husband to be like, keep your mouth shut.
Mhm.
You keep
Didn't
your
I
mouth shut.
Okay, so hold on, because I think obviously as a non-ever lottery winner, I had delusions of how it actually works because every state has different rules.
That's true.
And I want people to know this because I bet people haven't looked into this. Not that we're all gonna win the lottery, but who knows? There's that
Yeah,
hope again. Um, in the state of Ohio, I believe, you all right, lottery winners' names are disclosed. In certain states, you can choose to remain anonymous. And I can't think of the one off the top of my head. I thought it was New Jersey, but I don't think that's right. But in Ohio, you cannot stay anonymous. However, other people I've seen through, documentaries or research, they open a trust right away. They don't sign the ticket. They take it to a lawyer, have the lawyer open a trust, and then the trust is what signs the ticket because that's how you stay anonymous. But you told me that doesn't work everywhere.
It doesn't always work everywhere, but I think, there's different rules in every state, so anybody listening to us is gonna have a little bit different rules, but I think here's some of the here's the advice I would give really anybody. Keep your mouth shut, and I say that seriously. It is the most important thing. You keep your mouth shut because you don't tell all your friends and family. Um, when you do talk to a lawyer, you wanna get yourself to a lawyer, and there are there are lawyers who know what to do here. They're kinda subtle. They tend to be lawyers who are in the financial planning type of lawyers, but who
Okay.
also have litigation experience. Um, but getting to a lawyer is gonna help give you a little bit of distance. And they're going to be able to walk you through exactly what needs to be done in your state. If you can create a trust, that's great. You're going to want to do that. But I think more importantly, having a lawyer, one that you trust, it's important to have one that you trust because you're going to need money people that can be trusted. And
Right.
l- lawyers who deal in the financial space already know those people. They already have relationship. I'm sorry, they already have relationships with those types of people. And one of the things that I think is most important is no matter whether you can be anonymous or whatever, once people do find out, once your family does learn, or if they are going to learn, whoever you're going to tell, what I like to tell people is when you have a lawyer, you set, depending on how much you've won, right? You set somebody in place so that whoever it is comes to you asking money, whether it's your mother, your cousin, your kid, you have a person who's designated. That sounds like a great idea. I'm going to give you the number for my money guy. He does all of the investigations into investments and he tells me, when we move forward. So I'm going to give your number to him and you talk to him about what it is that you're talking about. That way you never have to say no to a family member, and your family members and your entourage know that you're taking this seriously and that you have a plan, and they're not going to take advantage of you as much. You don't ever say yes to anybody. You always make it a team decision with your money people. And that is the best generic advice I could give to a lottery winner, anybody who's won some money is seek out the advice of people trained in money.
Yeah.
And don't put yourself in a position where you have to be able to say yes or no.
That makes absolute sense. And I never would have thought of that. I mean, my plan in this was I was going to have everybody come over for dinner, right? The whole family all over for dinner, and everybody was going to have an envelope under their plate. And it was going to have a check for whatever amount I designated per person. And that was going to cover their house, their vehicles, whatever. That was it. And I was going to say, okay, everybody under your plate, this is the deal. You can't ask me for money. I'm not going to give you money. If you do,
But
I
they
won't talk
will.
to you
But
again.
they
But they
will.
will.
But they
And
would
then it
anyway.
sours so many relationships. Like
Yes.
coming into money, I know this not from personal experience because I don't have no money, but I've seen it where it just sours all of those relationships and creates people will try and sue you for shit you don't know them.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think you're hit the nail on the head with that having an investment or financial people because otherwise other people are gonna ruin their relationships with you
Yeah.
over
And
money
and you
because it
can blame it on them.
happens.
I'm so sorry my money guy said that. This is that the investment wasn't worth. I'm so sorry. I love you. You're my sister, but I let's
Right,
go let's do a weekend in Vegas together, me and you, but I can't do that. And
right,
that just gives you the ability to actually have people control the money and make sure that there's going to be some left so that you don't end up in bankruptcy. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Maybe the real lottery is learning how to manage what you've already got.
Ooh, there's another deep twist. Ooh.
Ah. Well, what do you think about that in closing?
I mean, obviously, money doesn't change who you are. It just changes the situation, turn up the volume a little bit. I mean,
I'll draw one small little narrow example here, and I don't think you have to win the lottery to be able to understand this concept. Think about every year at tax season time. You know, there are
Yes.
some people who get really big tax refunds, right? Ten, twelve
Mhm.
thousand dollars. As a bankruptcy lawyer, I see that all the time. And I see people really piss that money away and doing
Mhm.
very, very not smart financial things with that money and
Mhm.
ways that they could take that money and be way better off with their family. And so you can see how easy it is. And people, think that a little bit extra, they feel like they are entitled to splurge, and you
Right.
have to move past that. You have to have discipline.
Well, even like influencers, like a personal story, before the solar eclipse, I sold over $12,000. I made $12,000 on solar eclipse classes.
Yeah. And
What
it
I
felt
do
like
with
it
that
was gonna
money,
happen forever. It felt like it was
it
gonna go
felt like
forever, didn't it?
it sure did.
Yeah.
And when all that money was gone and I was shitting bricks because I didn't have that money anymore, I had to wait. I had to figure out how to make the next, and I mean, that's kind of the hook on influencing and doing this stuff.
Mm,
And then, I mean, this was around the time we were filing bankruptcy.
mhm,
And I got very lucky this happened after we filed. I had made, I think it was last November, I made like $20,000. But
mhm,
what I didn't take into account was people were going to return things. And so when I wasn't getting $20,000, it ended up being like 14. I was like, where's that other $6,000? I was counting on it.
mhm.
Like, it's not, it doesn't have to be $1,000,000.
Yeah, it
It can
doesn't.
be $10,000. And then, it really,
I think
everything
that's
can screw
that's
the
kind of the
pooch.
point of this podcast is that it doesn't have to be $1,000,000. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be 600,000. It doesn't have to be $100,000 from, an inheritance. It can be $10,000 in taxes. It can be an $18,000 windfall from influencing 1 month. And it's the same mentality. If a lot of people would love to win a $15,000 scratch off. In their minds, that would change their lives, right? And if
Right.
you were sitting here, you'd be like, God, if I won a $15,000 scratch off, I'd be so responsible with it. But we aren't, we
Right.
aren't always responsible. And so, when you increase that exponentially to, from a $15,000 to $1,000,000, it's the same mentality, which is crazy. And that's the
Everything just
mentality
gets
that we're
big.
trying to
Yep.
change. So that's
Yep.
what we're doing here. We are getting everybody ready and trained so that when they win the lottery, they are going to take when they get their tax rate, when pennies from heaven shine down on them, they're gonna know what to do with it.
But first call us
Yeah.
because we can help you.
Yeah,
We
absolutely. I can always find somebody. I will find you a safe, trusted lawyer to start with. If you win the lottery, reach out to me privately. I am a lawyer, so I do keep everybody's ethical confidences. But this is an important thing to remember. And if you do win the lottery, take a good look in the mirror first. And ask yourself if you're ready for this and be humble and bring in people to help.
Oh, for
You
sure.
do
I mean,
you don't need
you're
to do
my
this
first
alone.
phone call.
It
You're my
better be
first
your
phone call.
first phone call. Better be your
I
first phone
mean,
call.
yeah,
I'm
because
gonna make sure
otherwise,
that life is good for you if you win the lottery.
man, I'm gonna share that right back to you, but only with my financial advisor's help.
Thank you. Okay, we're wrapping this up, but I think we do need a quick check-in. How are you doing?
I knew this was coming.
I'm just checking in.
So
No need to get in deep. I know it's been an emotional week.
it's been a day. So, it's been a while since we've talked about it actually. As of yesterday,
Let's
the
just remind
decision.
everybody what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So, end of August-ish, my soon to be ex-husband decided to tell me he would like to separate. And it was kind of the up and down of, are we going to stay together? Are we going to fix this? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? And a lot of things have come out about things. And
That seems
I,
like that's inevitable, huh?
yeah,
Things, yeah,
yeah, things,
yeah,
feelings,
yeah.
things that have needed to be said for 20 years that haven't been said. And things have it's been amicable for the most part, but there have been things that haven't been so great. And yesterday, I told him I think we need to just bite the bullet and file. So then I was told, do it now. So it kind of went, I was like, we could do this at the end of the year, makes it, no, 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 do it now. So as we sit here, I actually have all of the forms open on my desktop
Oh,
and
there you go.
have filled out, and another lawyer on it's a whole thing. But yeah, so
You're moving forward. You're getting the
we're
paperwork.
moving
You're gonna do it. Okay.
I have a feeling that all of this will be filed and whatever just before our 19th wedding anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that's a kick in the balls, but it is what it is. Trying to yesterday, I told Adrienne, honestly, I was like, I'm fine. I'm good with this decision. Like, this is what needs to happen. And I know that. And then this morning I woke up sobbing.
Yeah.
So, again, back to that grief is a roller coaster. Even when you think you're okay, you're not. And so that's where we're at. But,
Well, I will just want to remind you that we all are supporting you, and this is not an easy road, and you're being very brave by talking about it. I know you don't love talking about it sometimes, so thank you for checking in, letting us know how you're doing, and we're gonna let you off the hook, and we'll talk about this again the next time we talk, just to
mhm,
see how you're doing, because I do think people are following along with your story, and you do have a lot of people who are supporting you, who understand what you're going through,
yeah,
understand what Jeremy's going through, and just following along. Your situation, ending your marriage is not unusual, and a lot of people are looking to you to kind of help them see the light with their own situation. So thanks for
yeah.
being brave, my friend.
I will say, you told me early on in this, take the high road. And I've taken the high road 99% of the time. I will not divulge my one petty moment, but it was a good one. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, I appreciate everybody listening. And I hope that it helps somebody to know that you're not alone.
They're not. All right. Well, we're going to call it a day. We will see you next week with High Heels and Hay Bales. And I'm going to I'm going to be traveling soon, and we're in a government shutdown still. I don't know how long this shutdown's going to last. I don't know if it's still going to be going on or not, but here's thongs and pears to all of the people. This is what my friends and I,
Tongs
instead
and
of
bears.
thoughts and prayers, we say thongs and pears, and there is a
I like
thong
that.
and there is a pear emoji, and we usually thong and pear, thong and pear, thong and pear.
I like that a
You like
lot.
that?
I
Thongs and
like that.
pears to all of our listeners, and we will catch you next week,
Remember to keep your feet on the ground, even if you win the lottery.
even if you win the lottery.
Thanks for hanging out with us today on High Heels and Hay Bales. If you laughed, learned something, or just had a good time, hit that follow button wherever you listen.
Want more? Head over to highheelsandhaybales.com to catch past episodes, send us a message, or drop your topic ideas.
And of course, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Come say hi, share your stories, and join the conversation.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay laughing, and stay out of trouble. Well, mostly.
See you next week.